that time, didn't I? Okay. Hello, news watcher. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's new for you? I'm good. Thanks a lot.
I'm really good. So how are you doing today?
Oh, well, just fine. Listening to the spaces around. There are many very interesting in some other spaces, right? The situation here in Venezuela, I can always try to get into these spaces, updating the situation every day. Mhm.
Oh yeah, it seems as though thanks to like these sort of Twitter spaces, like more and more people can speak out against the regime, against what's happening, not just for Venezuela but also in Cuba, because earlier I was, of course, listening to some sort of space about what's happening in Cuba, and there were also like various testimonies of the various families who had political prisoners, and so. I think having these sort of Twitter spaces actually help out with discussions and also to plan out things to make a difference in the world.
Well, Cuba has the same situation in like in Venezuela. Remember, though these regimes, Cuban and Venezuela has the same rules. Let's say like that. Uh, Prisoners, if you want raise your voice against them, they can even kill you, disappear you, and well, basically, it is the same situation. Cuba and Venezuela. There are many migrants around the world. Um, in, uh, Almost the same part is the same situation. Also, is in Nicaragua and recently Peru. Also, the almost the same situation right now.
I haven't heard anything about what's happening in Nicaragua and Peru. What's happening right now?
Well, there Nicaragua, for example, have has the same situation in Venezuela. Poverty, the economy is bad, and the prisoners, political persecution of the opposition. Well, the let's say the true opposition in Venezuela has two ways to say the fake the good opposition. Fake opposition is like Leopoldo, Maria Corina, Ledesma, Capriles, and among others people around. But there are the truth opposition, like we the citizen that are not agree with these corrupt of always that have been in power. Mhm.
That's really sad. Like all of it's like really sad. Like I noticed like a constant steam against all these sort of countries. Like either it's like some sort of corruption or some sort of human rights violation, because today is Human Rights Day. And one of the most basic of human rights, of course, is like free speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom to have like weapons. But like almost all these sort of countries, like the citizens do not have any sort of weapons, they don't have any free press, they don't have any free speech. And so I think these sort of spaces, like I said earlier, it's like really important, to have these sort of discussions.
Oh well, yes, I agree with you. Let's say the human rights here always violate the human rights. If you raise your voice, as I told you a little while, you can even be or disappear you. Basically, is that put in behind bars, or perhaps you must go away because if you don't if you don't if you do not agree with the government, You can even be dying of hungry, let's say like that, because of money, because of the economy, and and all the situation around. Mhm.
That is really sad. Yeah. And also, by any chance, are you still living in Venezuela?
Yes, I am still here in Venezuela. That's it.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness.
Mhm. That's why I always talk like this, because I don't want they notice that I'm here, because I have a problem in manifestation in the past. Recently, I had a problem because I'm a technician of computers, and two men came to fix their computers at home, and in almost a week later, the policeman came here, the intelligence came here at my home, that those computers were stolen. So, well, I have a problem with that. Well, in manifestation, I have a problem also where I try to be, like incognito. I don't know how to say that word, incognito.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. Yes.
Mm, and that's it. That's why.
Yeah, that is crazy. Like, man, I cannot imagine, like there are some things that I just take for granted every day because obviously I don't live in Venezuela, I don't live in Cuba or Nicaragua, but it's like I see myself like, when I wake up, it's like, something that I guess Americans take for granted, and that's including myself, is that you don't have to, worry about, trying to, upset leaders, get imprisoned or killed for your speech or the lack of the freedom of press or anything. It's just, or you don't even have to worry about starvation and hunger. Because I remember recalling, like, these sort of, crazy reports that sometimes, like, the Venezuelan people went to zoos to get some food because the situation is so terrible.
Yes, the situation here is terrible because of the economy. Whatever the wage, the minimum wage, the salarium, the salary, we say salario, the wage. Um, here it is not covered. Let's say if you buy a package, a kilo of flour, and or a bread, the minimum wage is gone. Only in those two products. If you want to buy a pair of shoes, you must spend almost 3 or 4 months to buy a pair of shoes, and that's it. For example, teachers, other workers of petroleum, the gas, the gas industry, the electrical power also has a manifestation in right now recently in the afternoon, because of the minimum wage. They are fighting for that.
Okay, you mentioned earlier about petroleum because one of the things that I think I heard about for Venezuela is that prior to what happened with like Maduro, that it was actually really rich in petroleum and gasoline.
Petroleum and gasoline is a problem here, because they always talk about sanctions that put the United States, that put the United States government for those. But I don't think the sanction must to do with this, that can control the petroleum or the gas. For example, um, Maduro, if has a good income for petroleum, they always steal the money for that, and the corrupt around him, and also the fake opposition. Always, all the time, is stealing the money from PDVSA, oil, and the gas. All the history of Venezuela has been the same. That's why Chavez came into power, because he wanted to end up to put an end to that corruption in PDVSA. But after the Chavez government, the situation become even worse.
That is crazy. And also, one thing that I heard was that Maduro, I guess, made some sort of cartoon where he was the superhero, and I guess we were like the evil Yankee imperialists.
You mean the cartoon, right?
Yes.
Yes, he's very ridiculous, and well, I don't think he is fun, but he ridiculous and has a very like a child mind. I don't know how to say. He's very
He's not. He's
childlike,
not. He's not.
childlike.
He's not really
Yes,
bright. Not really bright.
yes, he's childlike and acting like a stupid, doing that. I don't know who was the caricaturist that who made the cartoon. I don't know who, if were the China's people, were Russian, or were Cuban, or were other around him. I don't know, but I think the China must to do with the cartoon.
It must be because when I saw that cartoon for the first time, well, besides it being ridiculous that he was called like I think Super Mustache or something, was he has all the money in the world, to help the fellow people out, get them food, get them, whatever to help them out, whatever. But then he has enough money to, make a cartoon. It kind of shows like
Yes.
the priorities.
Yes, he has no money for payment, for increasing the minimum wage to professional like doctors, like teachers, like professors. No money for that, but for spending the whole money of Venezuela for making this stupid thing. I don't think it is. He is not in his right. He's not in his mind. So well, it's totally bad. It's totally stupid what what does Maduro. But well, he's not the president. He's just a narco that has the power because of the money and this fake opposition supporting him to permanent power.
Also, I remember it was, I think, 2 weeks ago, there was some sort of campaign where more or less they were telling the Venezuelan people not to go out to vote. What do you think about that campaign?
The last campaign, well, all the last campaign was a corruption. Um, he has always a saying, Maduro, and his comrade has a saying that say, uh, with no voters, with voters or no, or with voters or bullets, we have not leave the power. No voters or bullets, we are not leave the power. That's the saying of this narco. So if you have a democracy, if you have democracy for voting, that's that's not a big deal, or that doesn't matter for him. If you just try to force arming a whole group like Oscar Perez, he just going behind you until you be dead, because he has the whole power, military power. Remember, he has Russian, Cuban, Nicaragua also, and Hezbollah is also here in this territory.
All right, we got another speaker right now. He is the devil's lawyer. You can speak right now.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm just listening to this podcast and it's very interesting. I'm not Venezuelan, but I am just hearing what are you saying.
Look like you have a dog in the background right now.
There are my neighbor's dogs.
All right. So, do you have any questions for my guest right here?
I just would ask, how is all this situation going? I mean, for example, this COVID situation is getting worse. All the social situation in Venezuela, like that.
Yeah, the question was for you, news watcher.
Yes, the situation in here, right? Are you talking about that?
Yeah, I mean, for example, speaking of human rights, um, this COVID situation with the vaccines getting I don't know lack of respect on the human rights in Venezuela or like that.
Well, yes. As I told Taylor a little while, in here there is no human right. There is no um, uh, there is no state. If the government always does what they always wanted to do. If the, for example, if you are talking about them and enter and here enter people that is affect to the government, they always try to focus on try to persecute or try to link your connection and end up with a IP, and then uh, try to persecute you until until they want you in behind bars or in a jail perhaps. Yes, they always here the policemen, the militaries um, always do what they want to do in here. There is no state, there is no human rights.
Okay. Now, more recently, I'm not sure about like the process to get like a passport, but like, is it really hard right now to get a passport or a visa, to go to other countries? Because I heard more recently that, of course, many Venezuelans are going to these other Latin American countries, like in particular, like Colombia, for example, because there were like a lot of people going to Colombia right now. So, what's like the process to get a visa to go to other countries? Is it really hard?
Yes, it's very hard from here to get a simple passport. For example, a minimum wage, as I told you, it is around $2 a month, right? But if you want a passport, you must spend $300 to get a passport for 5 years. People don't have that money, and they must go to Colombia first for working hard there and saving some money, and then try to get the passport right there because it is easier for them. The situation in here with the visa, the embassy in here in Venezuela doesn't exist. It doesn't. It is not working in here. So people must to go to Colombia. People must go Colombia uh, to get the visa and passport on all the stuff around the documentation to get the to get out of the country if they want to.
Oh man, I cannot imagine like, how long the process must be to, save like, the minimum wage like $2 and like you have to save for like, a long period of time just to get one passport. But I'm pretty sure that when people start to like to cross the border for Venezuela to Colombia, that the process must be really hard too, because again, I guess there's like no people, to help them out because they're leaving like their families and everything else behind.
Yes, and they must be a part of their family. The good thing that have in Venezuela, for example, it is a clear in that um, if you have a car in here that in other country cost around $7,000. In here in Venezuela, you can buy a car by 1,000 and 50 hundred dollars. Can you imagine that? Uh, all the good because people don't have money for buying that. So there are people that has for example has a business of is a owner of something that has very good payment and buy cheap things like cars, houses, um, because they have the let's say they can take advantage of that because people wanted to go to improving another opportunities. Mhm.
Wow, crazy. Oh wait, Devil, do you have any sort of questions for him too?
Yes, certainly, but I have to go. I really appreciate this space for speaking.
Thanks.
No problem, man. Take care.
See ya.
Take care.
All right. So, what comes to my next question, I guess, is do you have any plans to, leave Venezuela anytime soon?
Here in Venezuela, there is any chances if you have money, of course, as I told you. Remember here, there are many places that can be taking a good part of that. But now, the economical, the political situation is not good. If you want to buy something cheap, it is acceptable. It is acceptable for that. But no for living right now. You must wait. You must wait for another government or perhaps another situation. Mhm.
Okay. And also, I noticed that I remember reading a tweet the other day, and I think one person said that the best hope for Venezuela is our country, United States. And it seemed as though when I was just reading the comments, like a lot of people from Venezuela think that my country, like, is like the last beacon of hope. So, what do you think about, I guess, do you think United States should help Venezuela out? How do you think could actually improve the situation?
Well, as I told you, in here we have let's say let's say we end. We say we don't we have no idea what else to do. No democracy, no manifestation, no march, no more other things for democracy way. The only thing in here because the regime say that the no bullet, no democracy way. So the only thing in here to do is a military intervention. We all people want that in this moment, this right moment. This fake opposition work for the narco and the regime, La FARC, LNN, Hezbollah, and these militaries around regime. There are many forces. Well, China is also here. Russian military Russian is also here. She is also here. The only way is definitively is the military intervention. I mean, it is the military force.
There were some news outlets for some strange reason, and I don't know why though, but a lot of them claim, and I guess it's the same for most countries too, that, and it's just so weird, that everything that's happening in, Venezuela is the fault of the United States. What do you think about that claim?
Well, Guaido um, hasn't claimed that because, as I told you, he's a fake opposition. When uh, Trump when Trump wanted to put some forces in here in Venezuela, all the opposition were against that order. So Trump just left the power, the Venezuela fucked up. Let's say like that.
I can hear your dog in the background.
Yes, I have a little dog, a female dog. Her name is Woody. Mhm.
I actually don't have a dog. I have a cat myself. It's actually it's like a black and white cat.
Here, I don't know I don't know how to say that in English. Salchicha. It's a sausage.
Yeah, like a
Sausage.
sausage.
Uh, yeah, sausage to dog. That. Mhm.
I think the English word for that is like a wiener, a wiener.
A winner. Okay.
Yeah. Oh man.
Um, and what do you think about Trump? Like, what do you think these next 2 years he will be the winner again?
um, it's hard. I don't like to make predictions myself because you never know with
Okay.
elections. But
Mhm.
because the last election that happened last year, we thought, of course, that Trump was going to win, but it ended up being Joe Biden. And Joe Biden hasn't, said a word about what's happening in Venezuela right now. Meanwhile, when Donald Trump was in power, I think he acknowledged that, of course, Maduro was not the legit president. And so I think, in terms of actions, Donald Trump probably has, recognized what's happening in Venezuela more than Biden right now. And also, right now, we're kind of facing some sort of border crisis with, I guess, like a lot of people from Haiti and these sort of other Latin American countries coming to Texas right now. And
Yes,
also,
many Venezuelan is going to United States by the by an illegal way. Uh, there are I think there are 500, 600 this last week. Many people is by food, and yes, it is a mess around the border, Mexico and the U.S.
yeah, it's like a lot of, like I said, it's like a lot of people from Latin America and a lot of people from Haiti. And now, what's
Yeah, Haiti,
interesting about,
Central America. Hmm.
yeah, like what's interesting about Haiti is that, like, I remember reading reports like they went, to, like, South America to work themselves all the way up to Mexico. That's like too much work, way too much
Yes.
work to, do that. And I think some of them, for the longest time, I believe, stayed in Baja California before they went up there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Biden activated against Trump's decision. Say stay in Mexico.
Yeah. The thing about the whole entire, crisis at the border is that when Trump was in power, I don't think a lot of people wanted, of course, to go across the border because they knew that he would actually enforce the law. Meanwhile, while Biden's in power, it's like no one actually, taking him seriously at all. So, but to answer your question, I don't think he's gonna win. I think it might be somebody else that's gonna win. I think
Mm.
he, I predict he's gonna run again for the next elections, but I don't think he's gonna win. We got
Well,
Ernest. We got Ernest here. I'm gonna let him speak.
Ernest. Mhm.
Let's hear him speak. I'm gonna give him like the invitation. Hey, Ernest, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. I just noticed you were doing this space, and I thought I'd pop on in.
Yeah, I'm just interviewing news watchers. So if you have any questions for him, go up right ahead.
Um, Hi, how's it going? I guess if I had to say anything, there it would be how much faith do you have in the MUD? For like to I guess um bring change to Venezuela.
A change in Venezuela. You say a change in Venezuela now, right now in this moment.
Well, I mean, like in general, like do you believe that like Lopez's party and Capril's party, do they have what it takes to bring the change that Venezuela needs? Like, do you think that they can bring down the regime and bring in a new, better Venezuela?
Okay, listen. Here there is no party, there is no political party who you can trust to. For example, you can the mood that is Leopoldo Capriles, Maria Corina, um, eh, mm, another one is Julio Borges. You can trust Ramos Ayub. You can't even trust in them. They are traitors. They are corrupt, and there is a fake opposition with these people around that is support that support the narco regime. The solution here is like me and other people around that it is the citizen movement, that can that can do that, or perhaps have nothing to do with this regime or with this fake opposition. We just need some other movement. We want to be the leaders of our own. Let's say like that. mm. There are people there are people around Colombia, Brazil, and United States, United Kingdom that are with us. We trying to support this movement that doesn't want or don't want these particular uh, parties that are more than 20 years supporting this regime.
Hmm. Okay, thank you. Yes, because I mean, I actually agree with you there. Like, and I think like Tyler, even like that's something that we talked about before as well. Like when we're talking about Venezuela going forward. Um, I I believe that the opposition parties, like the main ones, like you said, like Lopez and Capriles and the other groups, and
No,
they
no.
are
Lopez and
no
Capriles are part of this
no
regime. Also,
no no
Guaido.
no
Yes,
no no
believe
no
me.
I know no I
Uh-huh.
know, trust me. Like I'm
Okay.
actually what I was trying to say is that like these guys are a distraction. Like I mean the money that gets sent from a lot of like the
Yes.
United States and these other
For
groups.
example, always the same. Venezuela people around the migrants need $500 million, for example. Uh,
Hmm,
One of the most support that help with money is the United States and Colombia and Brazil. The money is um, is is around their ONG, organización no gubernamental,
yep.
and yes, and the money is always stolen by these people. Julio Borges, Caprile, Guaido, they live very like a rich people, because of the stolen money.
Hmm. Yeah, it is a big problem, and as long as they are recognized as the kind of, I guess, legitimate opposition, I think that you're going to continue to see nothing really change in Venezuela.
Uh,
Um,
we
and
don't
that's
recognize we or almost the 80% or 85% of people right now know very well who are these people, who these people are. Um, we don't want any of them. Don't We don't want any of them. Uh, we we just creating uh, another movement, the citizen movement, to put these forces, to put these people around Capriles. We don't want them. We want to put them apart, like the regime, to open a new opportunity to to in Venezuela implement the good and the new democracy with free speech, with all the human rights in Venezuela. That we in this moment we don't have nothing of that.
Of course, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've seen kind of, I guess, I mean, like, I don't know how much you know about me, but I mean, I've actually been involved around like the movement in with Venezuela. Like, I've seen the effects of the regime in Peru. For example, there's a lot of Venezuelanos in Lima.
Yes,
Um,
many Venezuelan in Lima, Peru, Colombia, and Argentina and Chile. Mhm. Brazil, also Brazil. Mhm.
yes, yes, they're, well, I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, they're all throughout Latin America, and even up here in Canada, there's actually quite a few. I worked with a lot of Venezuelans in
Yes,
central Canada.
yes,
Um, and like, it is very important that people, talk to their governments, even like, in the UK and in Canada. Like, that's something that I've been trying to do, because like, I know Wido is basura. They all
yes,
are.
basura. Mhm.
Yeah, they're
You,
all garbage.
yes, basura, basura. Basura it is a alacrán. You know what is alacrán? Like a scorpion.
Yes.
Okay, is alacrán a corrupt well, people? If, for example, if they want a conference in Canada, people around them, people in Canada must go to that place where he's gonna give the speech and say the truth about that he is a corrupt, that he has stole the humanitarian aid, and that's why people are dying right now because of hunger, because of lack of many things, because of sickness, sicknesses.
Yes.
Also, there's something that I noticed that it was interesting because I think one of the spaces me and Ernest were hosting, one of the persons mentioned about hackers and, of course, how hackers are using their, I guess, their abilities to get into the computers of Maduro and so on. Like, what do you think about the hacking campaign?
Hacking, well, for hacking from the region or hacking from people, from good
Hacking,
people,
like hacking the regime.
the hacking the regime. Well, all the system in here in Venezuela that doesn't has a good system that protect the that protect all the buildings, the governmental buildings, and you can access every easily for example the network of bank, the network of the petroleum gas, PDVSA, the airport. It is easy. You can ingress you can ingress to all of these spaces with using a cell phone.
Yeah, because like I remember like there was like days where Twitter did not have these spaces at all, where you just write the tweets. But thanks to like these sort of spaces, like I said earlier before, like it's easier to connect with people, to organize and do whatever, because now people have a voice, they have a fighting chance to bring to light what's going on in these other countries.
Yes, it is easier. If you are analysis or if you are a programmer, uh, from a cell phone you can access to the, for example, the screen of an airport, and write like the team of the uh, Pinguino did, at the Pinguino did. He wrote Maduro is a narco, Maduro for J, Maduro US, Maduro CIA. He wrote all these words in the main airport in Margarita. Um, and Maduro put in jail all the people that hasn't or that hadn't to do with this hacker. So the Pingüino did another thing that in the Banco of Venezuela, almost the same. Mhm.
Oh, you wanted to say something, Ernest?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I know the regime does not like people, I guess, criticizing Maduro. I just want to say that. Um, I know that for a fact. That's probably why I'm
Oh,
not allowed in
you
Venezuela.
gonna share?
We're not well. I will probably share it off air because I mean, like it is slightly silly, but I mean it worked. I'm not allowed in Venezuela, so yeah.
And
No,
what do you
literally,
think about the comic? What do you think about the comic he did
Super
recently?
bigote.
We talk about with Taylor. I was talking with Taylor that a little while. It's very funny or it's very stupid. For me, it's all very stupid thing that a comic like imitating a Superman that has Venezuela has always an attack or cyber attack or any mechanism attack from the US. Always the blame is for or it is come from the US. The blame is always the fault is for happening coming from the US. Always, all the time, the same speech from that regime.
I I know. I thought the super bigote was just
Yes,
stupid.
so promoted.
It should have been called like super stomach or something because he's
You
so
know,
fat.
well, super stomach. Okay, yes, super stomach. Also, we say super morigote. Super stupid. Super stupid.
Well, I actually call him the bus driver of the revolution.
Hmm.
And that usually gets a few people angry, but because I mean, it blows my mind that of all the people the PSUV could have chosen to pick to replace Chavez, they had to pick this uneducated idiot. Um, and but I mean, I guess it's because he is easier to control, and I mean that's at the end of the day, after Chavez died, the real people in charge of the Cubanos. Havana gives the orders, really.
Yes, he receives order from Havana. He also make a brujeria witchcraft. I think the witchcraft or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember the word exact the exact
Yeah,
word in
yeah.
English.
Witchcraft. Yeah.
Witchcraft.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. So he received order from Cuba from the intelligence of Cuba, also with witchcraft, and also received over there from China and Russia.
Yes, because I mean, he had the Wagner group supporting him. They were the ones who were doing a lot of the security at Miraflores. And the Wagner group is a very unique organization. They're Russian, but they're not supposed to be government, but they are. They're like a black.
No,
Yeah.
remember, remember, do not consider that as a government. Remember, that is a group of criminal. It is a narco government.
Oh
They
no,
are
no, I
not
know.
government as such.
Oh
Well,
well,
it
well,
is
well. Sorry.
okay. So they are supported by militaries. They are supported by the Hezbollah. They are supported by Cuban forces that are around here. The Russian intelligence is around here that has to do something with the Bolivar state, stealing the gold from the mine in there.
Yes.
Mhm.
There are about, I believe I saw the number from a friend of mine. There's about 15,000 Cuban, like between military and intelligence, there because I had a friend who was a tenente in the Venezuelan army, and he told me that when he was in, because he left around 2019, when he was there were Cubans everywhere. Like every decision being made, there was a Cuban.
Yes,
And yep, sorry.
yeah, yes. Here, everywhere you can find Cuba in a specific place, even in banks, and the let's say like working for the main governors and, assessors that have to implement, or perhaps um, giving instructions to the high position of military, um, for doing bad things, narco trafficking, for example, to pull out to put out the gold to other countries that, like a mocking the sanctions of the United States, to no locate the ships when they travel around the seas and
Yes,
going to the final destination. Mhm.
yes. Um, yeah, it's actually very complicated though.
Yes,
Um,
it's very complicated. The situation here is very complicated, even though, for people that don't have to eat, many people around is dying because of hungry. Children, children. I always worry about them because of
of
children.
course, of course, and I've I've heard a lot of terrible things that
Yes.
happened there.
Yes.
Um, and I mean, like, and even when I was in Lima, you had to be careful because I mean, like, Sabine is in Lima. Sabine is in every country where you have a lot of these kind of like a lot of these refugees from Venezuela. You have like the intelligence services there keeping an eye on everything, and
Yes.
it's you have to be very careful with who you talk to because you don't know who's Sabine or who isn't, and it is dangerous at times. Um, but I mean, like the thing that people really need to try and do is push their governments to put more pressure on this group of criminals, as you call them, and to kind of cut off their support, which mainly comes from Havana. I mean, we can say the
Yes.
Chinese and the Russians are there, but I mean, really, at the end of the day, the people who really direct Venezuela and everything is Havana because Havana needs the oil.
Yes, he in the
And
Havana always, yeah. Well, in Venezuela, here in Venezuela, people don't have gas, or people, they can fuel the cars to going to work, because no gas for them. For um, but for Cubans, you can see two three ships going around to, uh, they can carry the gas, our gas, let's say like that. But for Venezuelan people, nothing to do with that.
yes, yeah, it's
Mhm.
terrible to be honest.
It's terrible.
But
Yes.
I have to ask you this: like, who do you think is really in charge? Like, in terms of like, is it it's not what's his name there, Diosdado Cabello. I don't think he's in charge really, and I don't think it's Maduro. Um, what was the general's name? Um,
Padrino Lopez.
yes, Patino Lopez. I is what is the idea around him? Like, do people believe that he is the one who's really in charge?
Padrino Lopez, Diosdado,
Hmm.
El Alzami, Tarek
Yep.
El Alzami. There are the let's say the head of this criminal. They are the
Yeah.
chief. They are the head of this narco criminal around Maduro. Here is a narco structure well built. Um, uh, Padrino Lopez is controlling, or
Hmm.
controls everything to do with the military force and intelligence.
Yeah.
For example, if you were going right now, if people get together and try to raise their voices, um, have a good manifestation, immediately all the forces, Cubans, LPN, la Guardia Nacional, everything's gonna be around, stop the forces of the people. Um, Even it doesn't matter if they kill, because nobody is gonna happen. That's why in 2017, around 300 or even more people were dead because of these criminals. That doesn't matter to kill people around the streets because of a manifestation.
Yes. Yes.
But who control all of that? But who control everything in the forces is Patrino Lopez.
He also controls Cartel de las Soles, I think, too.
Yes, and the
Um,
Narcosoles. The
y-
Narcosoles.
yes, and I mean it's. I've been watching like the situation in Venezuela for a while, and I mean he's someone who doesn't really get talked about here. Mostly, all we ever talk about. I mean, Tyler watches the Venezuelan situation too, so I mean we both have a decent bit of knowledge on it. We only hear about really Maduro or maybe Diosdado when he does that stupid TV show he does. I hate that show so much.
Uh,
Let's see, El Mazo, I think it is.
yes, el Mazo Dando with Narco Diosdado.
Yeah,
We
I
say that Narco Diosdado because he's so stupid, like say, planted fake, fake evidence to to people. For example, if I get connected, or perhaps they are listening what I'm saying, they are tomorrow. I don't know, here is what news watcher is talking about the bad things about the government, for example. And immediately I am gonna be investigated for that. See, something like that. And that is a stupid program that has
yeah.
that has nothing to do with the reality of what is happening in Venezuela.
No, but I
Okay,
was
okay.
yeah.
There's a person that came inside the space. His name is Luis. Luis, come on and talk with us.
Well, I think that
Yeah.
because of the let's say the
Oh wait,
service.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think Luis was going to talk. Go ahead, Luis.
Okay.
Yes. I the only thing that I can say is that in Venezuela, the government have the control of every single news. If some channels say something that is against what the government of Maduro said, is immediately silenced because it's really hard. I mean, say something, I mean, real in the country. When a channel shows the reality of Venezuela, is immediately in a biggest issue because the regime of Maduro is really, well, I mean, not really, extremely uh, hard with the with the with the with the news. I mean, every news that is again of them is immediately a problem with with the journalists, with the channel, with everybody that is involved in the news. I mean, it's really hard with that.
Just one quick question, Luis. Are you Venezuelan?
No, I'm living in Colombia right now. I'm living in Barranquilla. I moved out of Venezuela like 1 month ago.
Okay, okay. Continue on with your point.
Yeah, so that's all about I mean, the situation with the channels. It's really complicated in that way because it's hard to show the reality of the Venezuelans in live national TV because it's it's not allowed by the government of the country.
When Chavez came into power, there is I don't know if you know about RCTV or RCTV. It is let's say a wonderful channel that we have in here for many years, about 60 years. Um, he on this channel put propaganda that people must go out to the streets in 2000 and in 2002. Um, Chavez went out of the power about 24 hours or 42 or 48 hours, let's say, thanks to this channel, right? That's why Maduro and Chavez put out of air the channel, because he always criticized the government, always put the reality of what is happening recently in the country. Right now, RCTV it is planting or is planning to put the air in Miami. I think that is a channel around in it. But everything is gonna be broadcasted in Miami from RCTV or RCTV, to put against the reality, against the regime, and to put the reality what people live every day in Venezuela.
I have not heard about that station, so I'll try to keep an eye on that station once I get a chance to.
Yes, RCTV, RCTV.
I yeah, I kind of
Uh,
remember that because I mean, like I'm old enough to remember when Chavez got knocked out temporarily. Like that was like what, like 2000, and I think it was like 2000, 2001. I think it was.
2002. Yes, he
Yeah.
Chavez went out of the Chavez was removed in 2002. Um, they say because of people, because RCTV, the camera of the let's say camera of there is a business to do with workers in here in Venezuela. So these two like TV and the people came in bunch to the streets. We don't want Chavez anymore. So Chavez left the power, but alacranes, corrupt, and traitors put Chavez again in power. That's what happened in 2002.
Yeah, I remember that. Like for me though, like the biggest mistake I think that was made for Venezuela was when after Chavez was put in jail for his treason, you know, because what he did against the government back in, I think it was what, 93, was treason. You know, he rose up in rebellion against the government that he
But that was
swore and
happening in 1993. But that happened in 1993. Well, after that, he put out of jail, and he won the elections
he
in 1999. After
but
that, 1999, 1990, 2000 and 2002, people didn't want Chavez anymore, because they already know people already know uh, what was coming to the country, what is living in what is happening in this right now, the situation, the bad economical, the bad political situation, and everything else, narco trafficking, because there was a politic that put this in advantage, what was coming if Chavez would win the presidency for that moment.
All right,
Yeah,
Louis wanted to say something, so go right ahead.
yeah. I would like to say that when Chavez won the elections in Venezuela in 1998 or 1999, I don't remember as well. But when he won, he said that he was democrat. I mean that he would respect the laws and the voice of the people, because he always was saying that he was the president of the people, and that kind of things. But when in 1990, in 2001 or 2002, like say the another guy, the people didn't want to Chavez, and he was removed. And when he coming back like so extremely aggressive, man. He was like he created one kind of, I don't know what to say, but he created the Tupomaros. That was the crew of him for make the stallers. I mean the expropriations of the private property. And when he coming back, he started like shows his real face. I mean, uh, he started to talk so extremely aggressively against the private sector. I mean, in the economic way in Venezuela. It was really sad because the most part of the Venezuelans didn't want it, and after that, every election was a mess because no was clear. The CNA, I mean the National Election Center in Venezuela, belongs to the PS PSUV, that is the the party of him, I mean, of Chavez. And every power in Venezuela, every political power in Venezuela belongs to the government. And I mean the government to the political uh, party of the government. Every single, I mean, the the CNN belongs to the government, and they don't want it that anybody that is outside of the party political in the of them can be part of the CNA, CNE. Yes, really, really extremely how we can make an election clear without equivalent. I mean, equipment, that kind of things.
All right, go ahead, Ernest.
Yeah, no. Like, what I would just wanted to say to Newswatcher was just that what I was trying to say was that the biggest mistake that was made was allowing Chavez to be a candidate in the 99 election. That was the because if it was so common blatant to see that a man who betrayed his country before uh talking about, I'm going to be, like Luis said, I'm going to be the people's president, I'm going to respect the laws and that, but he didn't even respect his own country before when he revolted. And yet, they decided, oh, he's probably learned his lesson, let's let him run for president. And that was the big problem. And I hope that, like, the movement that you're a part of, and that you're trying to make these changes, like, you guys are going to try to put, like, the what we would call checks and balances in place to prevent someone like Chavez from coming back to power in Venezuela again. Because I mean, this this is the worst economy that I've ever seen. And I mean, I studied Peru's economy under Alan Garcia in the 80s, and that was bad, but it's nothing as bad as this. Like, this is just terrible. So I mean, what I'm hoping is that, is that your movement is taking the lessons from the past and applying them so that in the future there isn't this risk of this kind of terrible thing happening again.
Well, yes. Remember the situation in Venezuela with Adeco and Copellanos. The situation in Venezuela was very bad, really bad. And Chavez came into a candidate for presidency. Uh, he wanted to fight against the conventional parties and the previous government before him. So when he came into power, he promised He didn't he didn't want uh, um, he didn't want uh, the bad things. He didn't want the let's say industries come out of the country. He wanted a good relationship with them, with other countries like the U.S. and Colombia, to invest in Venezuela, in this country. After that, he he came he became very closely to Fidel Castro, and that is the part of the history when he in every in every meeting with Fidel, he brought he always brought new ideas to implement in Venezuela, the economy, military, and laws, and the power separations, and among others. Also, the evaluation of the currency. Part of that was the situation in Chavez government. After that, remember that Chavez didn't work alone for he won the presidency. He just made the corruption with Adeco and Copellanos, and people that we know now, like Caprile, like Ledesma, like Maria Corina. All of them were bought by Chavez, and well, that's kind of the vex we are now living here, with the people dying, devalue currency that have nothing to do uh, with even buying a candy with a bolivar. You even can buy anything with a higher bill.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures of people making like purses and stuff with the money because it was like worthless.
That's it. That's it. They make like portrait. They make stuff with the currency because no value. Also with the coin, there are people collect them to export because it is the material wanted in for making collars and bracelets. Mhm.
Yeah, that's crazy because I remember reading some sort of article
¿Cómo?
and just going back to the currency aspect of all
Mm.
this. Like, I remember reading an article and they said that the currency is like so bad that money in World of Warcraft is worth more than the currency in Venezuela.
Yes, of course. Yeah. The paper, the paper, the ink, words have more value than the same coin or the same bill printing that is printing in that moment. Um, well, money has no value at all. That's why people uh, try to save money in dollars. Let's say people that have family in here send money they send money to their family to try to buy food, like uh, every week or perhaps every 15 days, something like that.
Wow, that's crazy. Hold on, we'll be right back, guys.
Um, so I'll ask you this too. Do you think that a time will come where once the regime is gone, once these criminals are gone, that a lot of the Venezuelans who left are going to come back, or do you think that a lot of these of your compatriotas aren't going to come back ever again? Like, what do you think?
Yes, many people would come back to the country with a new government, with a new serious government, with a new laws, with a human rights, with a state. People would come back, yes, but there are others that don't because they lost everything in here. They don't have anything in here. They sold their houses. They sold the cars. Um, they moved with the whole family, wife, children, if they had, of course. Um, but but young people, I think they would come back to participate in the new Venezuela with a new strong economy because we have a skill how to do it. Petroleum, gas, minerals, fresh water, like irons, among others. The whole nature that can implement in here because of tourism. So, well, here, if you know how to work in Venezuela, you can have a good opportunity.
Um, yes, and that's true. You see, I really enjoy economics. It's a favorite kind of topic of mine,
Oh, good.
and I mean, it's important when you look at the rebuilding of Venezuela, because this is what it is. It's going to be like a real rebuilding. You have to tear down the entire system that's in place and build something completely new. Um, because your economy is ruined.
Yes,
It's been everything is robbed. Like PDVSA is pretty much uh, it pretty much doesn't exist now.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
Here there is nothing. Here there is nothing that work to the 100%. The health system is uh, underground. Is underground. See, the electrical power also is underground. It is a bad service. Also, the water, the basic things for living that it is normal in other countries. Here is a very hard sacrifice to get them.
um, there's one other thing too. I kind of wanted to say, like, because you talked about making Venezuela a democracy again once everything is changed. Um, is there room for ex militantes de PSUV? Like, would you want to see them participating in the democracy, or would you want to see them not allowed because of what they've done?
Well, I want them participant because they are totally ignorance of what happening of the really situation because the government give a bag of food. Here is about let's say a bag of food every 2 months or every 3 months. Here's a bag
Oh,
of
the
food.
clap.
Yes, a clap. Yes, you know very well. Uh-huh.
I
There
do.
is a
I
club every 2 or 3 months. Here's a club. But people who receive that club has no education, has no how to perhaps going to a hospital if they get sick, perhaps an operation. They don't have money at all. They are very poor. That you can find one of Chavista looking for food in bargages around the street, or perhaps knocking at your door, trying to ask for something to eat. And people those people don't even work because of the system, the whole uh, the whole economy doesn't allow them to work. So that's why in here the abstentions for voting the last election, uh, the participation of the Maduro regime was around 20%. The other 80% didn't participate because they didn't they did notice they did notice and they catch very well that a bag of clap, that's it is not all that they need. That club doesn't cover the all needs. They need education. They need health services. They need living, for example, with a minimum wage. See, but in this system, they can do anything. Right now, there is a manifestation because of education, because of the PDVSA, because of the PDVSA worker, just be, just because the minimum wage they earn monthly uh, didn't cover even to buy a couple of things for food. As I told you, many people that the families that they have abroad send money to them, and that's why they can they can survive in certain way. Other things is that um, you can integrate them. You can take them up and give put them in the education system and make them clear, make them understand that a communism system, it is not the right way to it is not the right way to make a government. See.
Yes, yes, that's hmm, it. It's true. Me personally, I'm not really sure if I would allow that. Like the at least like anyone who's like in a leadership position, even the lower levels, like the local kind of municipal branches of the PSUV.
Ah,
I
okay.
would.
Oh, okay. That kind of people, but I'm talking about the normal people, not
Well,
because of the work on the government. Of course, they know what is happening. They know they support the narco regime. But I'm talking about the normal people who received
just
a
of the
clap for.
membership.
Yes, yes, that's
Yeah,
it.
like the
A
ones with the
membership.
carne de la patria on that. Yeah.
No, no, nothing
Um,
about.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. I understand now.
Mhm.
And that's true. Like the normal people are as innocent as they can be on this. But I mean, like those even like the local leaders of the parties and that, like these
The
people in
parties,
my
yes, the parties like a major, like a governor, like let's say a part of this regime, or form part of form certain part that they know the corruption is evidence, and they
yeah
just shut the mouth up because they take part in some way they take part of that dirty money, or perhaps at the part of the corruption they know
yeah
it.
and they
uh,
have to be blocked from democracy. I mean, they can't be
yes, they,
allowed to
they block
participate.
democracy. Yes, yes, they block
And
democracy.
well, that and they like when democracy returns, they shouldn't be allowed to participate. I mean, it has to be like it like in Germany they had like denazification, and in this way you need to have like a de-bolivarization of it as well. And that's just my opinion as someone who has been in Latin America and has seen kind of these a lot of things.
Yes,
And
yes. We don't want anything to do with alacranes, with narco regime, and the people around them. See,
perfecto,
but you
perfecto.
have to, yeah, yeah, you have to put in the society again, the normal people, the common people that don't even have to that even don't have to eat. Um, that is that was the problem I was talking about. But
Yes.
I don't want, for example, let's say un concejal chavista,
Yeah.
um, a concejal, let's say, I don't know how to say that in English, a concejal,
No, no, like a counselor or
counselor, for example, yes, or perhaps a counselor um, try to participate in here, no, because you have to must be investigated where you where your money comes from or where your money came from, how your family is rich, uh, how is your friend is rich, how did how did they get that money from, how did they get that money from, uh, for a pure country that people didn't even have to eat, and you are so very wealthy. That's why, and that's to implement law for that. You have to implement the rights, the state for a specific investigation that you consider that have to do with corruption.
Y- Yes, definitely. And honestly, I'll even say too, like I think it should apply to leaders of the MOD too, because I mean they're just as much traitors to the country as the PSUV leaders.
Mm-hmm. That
Like
is
like
legal.
it's it's Capriles and Lopez and people
No, nothing.
like
No,
them. No,
they
no,
are
but I
all the same.
mean,
They are
oh
all the
no, no,
same.
no, no, lo sé, lo sé. Yo entiendo la situación de Venezuela.
Okay.
um,
Sí, todos ellos
but
son lo mismo.
sí, 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 sí,
Sí,
absolutamente,
sí.
absolutamente. And the problem is that like one thing I really hate is that someone like Leopoldo Lopez is going around like internationally and saying, "Oh, I'm here to I'm fighting for my country. I'm trying to save Venezuela from this terrible government." And he's the same people who when Maduro, I think it was 2017 when they had the really big protests, the ones where the government was actually like they were actually going to topple the regime. And it was
Well,
I
remember that Lopez has belongs to the international socialism. Uh,
oh yes, yes, yes.
he just come around the world because he has a lot of money. He just stolen from the humanitarian aid because of the stole the money from corruption. Uh, Remember that he is not from here. From in this moment, he just has around more than 30 years in the political, like Maria Corina, like Caprile, all of them uh, take part of this narco regime. They have they have that the attention of TV, the media. They have the attention of media. Uh, so that is the part they can take advantage of those because of the money, because of the media, and because all they were known. But people as me that the one really change don't know about us, but we are in perhaps in this next 3 or 4 months, everyone can know about this movement.
Yeah, and that's very important because I mean you need to take the microphone away from the parasitos like Capriles and Lopez because um the more they speak, the more real people who really want to change Venezuela, like you, the less of a voice you have because they take they have the control of the conversation and they they have no real interest in fixing Venezuela. I mean, like if they did, they would have made more of an effort than they did. I mean, Lopez and Capriles made deals to get out of jail. That
Yes, yes,
was
definitely yes. They must be investigated. They must be in jail. They must pay for what they've done. Remember that. Um, uh, Remember that all the money they have because of the corruption. Um, uh, um, let's say Julio Borges
yeah.
make corruption in PDVSA before Chavez. Before Chavez. Um, and basically is that they must pay because of the done, because of the corruption, because of the narco trafficking, because of supporting this criminal for killing people.
Yes. No, absolutely. And I mean, it makes me angry. I mean, I'm not a Venezuelan. I mean, I guess you can tell. But
Yeah, yeah, I know you're not Venezuelan. Okay, that
but
I know, but you are. I congratulate you because you are more interesting. You are more let's say más
more informed, like more
investigativo.
informed. I guess more informed about the situation than most people here.
y- y-
Yes, he's
yeah,
has taken a good participation in investigation what's really happening here in Venezuela more than people that live in here. That's why I congratulate Ernest.
muchas gracias. And Tyler, I mean, is his interest in it too is, I mean, very admirable. And it's good that there's other people who, even though they're not Venezuelans, they have that desire for libertad.
Yeah,
They have
yeah. The thing about the media is that I cannot really trust it, and so
no.
the only way I can understand a situation as complex as what's going on in your country is by talking to the people.
Yes, because remember media. Yes, a lot. Remember the media want money. This Caprile, this Leopoldo has money to pay for a fake news or a fake appointment to to talk in those apparatus or to talk in those media. They have money for that for pay a new broadcaster. Um, uh, all they want is dialogues with the regime. Uh, Always is dialogues and dialogues and dialogues. All the interviews is around the dialogues. They don't want anything more because they know they will end up in jail, and the money from the humanitarian aid from Monomero, all of those will end, will put an end, and they don't have any access of those resources again. That's why the only thing they have right now is supporting the regime, because the regime in some part give the money. They Leopoldo always ask for humanitarian aid like Guaido. If the regime kill or perhaps put in jail um, innocent people or innocent person, they always will ask money for that person, but the money will end up in their pockets.
Absolutely, because news nowadays is just all about, getting like the most outrage, the most clicks, and not necessarily telling the whole truth. And so when there's any sort of report that's, been going on, whether it's like Cuba or Venezuela, I always, double check a bit. You cannot really trust them at all when it comes down to small details like this. You just cannot.
No, no, you're absolutely right. And I mean, um that's why, like, when I went to Lima, like, first in 2017, and then in 2018, um, you heard things in Canada about, the situation in Venezuela, and really, when you're up here, you don't really think about it as seriously as someone in Venezuela or in Colombia or in Brazil or anything like that. But when you go to Lima and you see, because there's about 1 million Venezuelans in Peru, and you really see people who, and I think I've said this before to you, Tyler. Like, when I was there, one time there was a guy who was a professor of media from, I think it was either Caracas or Valencia, and he was working as like a construction worker. A man who's probably never done too much physical labor in his life is now, forced to do these things. I mean, I seen a lot of things, and when I saw this, and when I saw, like, so many Venezuelans, because I mean, honestly, it's very easy to tell who's a Venezuelan in Peru, because I mean, they wear like the hat, or they have like like, the chaqueta and things like that, like that show that they're Venezuelans. They're very proud of it. Um, and I mean, you can't help but ask them, like, why are you here? What happened to you? What's the situation? And then, you know, you talk to more and more people, and you realize that this is a lot worse than you thought. I mean, it's easy for the media to say one thing, but I mean, in order to really get the truth, you have to see it with your own eyes, or at least hear from people who have experienced it. Now, I would love to be able to go into Venezuela and try to do my part. But as Tyler will know, and a few people
Yeah,
who know the situation,
he
I'm
cannot
I'm
go.
not allowed. I'm
He's
not allowed in.
not allowed in Venezuela at all, so he can't do it.
No, no, no. If I go, I will literally be picked up and sent to La Tumba. Like, I am literally on a list. So um I it's hard. But if I care enough about the situation. I know a lot of Venezuelans. I respect them, and there is so much opportunity to really change the situation there. But it comes down to not just overcoming the regime. It also comes down to overcoming and kind of defeating, I guess, the quote unquote the opposition, the fake, as you would call it, the fake opposition. You have to defeat them too. So it's two mountains that you have to climb. And it's a big challenge. So I mean, I respect you and your organization for what you're trying to do here, because it's a monumental task, and um, it's dangerous. I mean, like, it's a very you're risking your lives.
Yes, thanks, Ernest. Remember, we don't have the voices. We want to make us raise our voices in media, uh, to make the world understand, to make the world understand what is happening, and don't believe in these alacranes. They always want, all what they want is money. European people, because they live in the other part of the world, doesn't much information that, or having much information about Venezuela. But you are close, you are really close, and you can not notice, or you perhaps are very interested that look for information what is updating, what is recently happening in around this continent. Uh, Thanks a lot for being interested in Venezuela uh, situation, the Venezuela situation. Really appreciate that. as I told you, we need raise our voices in media, because Alacran is always, as I told you, has money. They if they want to be broadcasted in a certain TV, uh, well, uh, they always pay for that because of the money of Venezuelan. Um, but uh, we need we need to find a way to make us very known, uh, to put apart this alacrane and the and put an end to the regime as soon as possible.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And I mean, like, so I guess what I kind of want to ask, because I have to head off,
Yeah, I have
is
to get off too because I promised my girlfriend to watch like a movie with her at 10 o'clock.
so oh man, you better get that done. Trust me, you there's nothing worse than an angry Latina, man. I know. Um, but no, like I just kind of want to say, like, really really quickly, because and then I'll like drop off here, is how can people like um support your movement, like how can they get involved with it, like is there like a link they can go to, or is there people they can talk to or be pointed to?
Well, in a new Venezuela, you are both of you come around, and we have a very big party for you. Really, thanks for that. But remember, we need to put an end to this alacrane. We need to raise our voices everywhere to be listened by other communities. For example, Colombia, in this, as I read a little before, Colombia, uh, Colombia a politic party in there, um, said that they don't want the mood don't come around them. If the Leopoldo appears around him, they are not be allowed. He is not be allowed to participate in that speech because Colombia know who they are.
Okay. Well, anyway, I think we, of course, spoke about pretty much everything, guys. And also, as far as like amplifying the voices of other like Venezuelans and of course Cubans, these other groups of people. Of course, I have my YouTube channel and of course these Twitter Spaces. That way, many people can listen to you guys because I have like over like 1,600, like not 1,600, sorry, 16,000 subscribers, and so that's plenty of people that can listen to your voices, and they can watch like the live streaming and the Twitter Spaces much later, and of course, try to spread your message as much as possible.
Okay, really thanks for that. I am going to be a subscriber, another subscriber. Need the link and try to look information about your space, or perhaps your channel.
My If you go to my profile on Twitter, I think I linked my channel to that profile. So just click on the link, and then you'll probably find it that way.
Okay, nice.
Okay.
I'll be a new subscriber.
Okay. Yeah, but it's not the only thing I cover on my channel because I cover like a lot of topics besides what's going on in Latin America, because I talk about like the crazy silly stuff that's going on in my country too.
Roger
Nice.
that. But oh, but yeah, so I'm gonna head off though. Tyler, thanks a lot for having this space, and Newswatcher, muchas gracias por la conversación.
No, nada, de nada. De verdad, gracias a ustedes, y bueno, darle duro a estos alacranes para que no tengan partícipe, que no tengan, digamos que la voz, ¿verdad? Porque ellos vienen y levantan la voz y hablan en nombre de todos los venezolanos. ellos no tienen autoridad alguna. Yo no le, por lo menos no le he dado autoridad a estos alacranes para que hablen en mi nombre. Ellos toman partícipe porque el dinero que se robaron le da basto, le da bastante poder a ellos para pagarles a la televisora, para pagarles a los medios de comunicación, y por eso es que ellos se dan la tarea de estar en cada rincón del mundo y hablar acerca del nombre de cada venezolano. Pero ya nos dimos cuenta quiénes son. Desde hace mucho rato ellos andan por allí viendo a ver qué hacen, porque ya el venezolano, más del 80%, lo que quiere más bien es lincharlo, lanzarlos a la basura, desaparecerlo, porque han traicionado, han burlado de la gente, se han burlado del hambre del venezolano, se han robado dinero del erario venezolano. Y entonces ya está bueno de que estos alacranes sigan aprovechándose del sacrificio, del dolor y de la muerte de cada venezolano, nada más por ambiciones personales. Son muy ambiciosos, ellos quieren tener lo mejor, ellos quieren vivir de lo mejor, pero a costilla del sufrimiento del venezolano. A ellos no les importa el venezolano, ellos están por encima del venezolano. Entonces, el movimiento a la cual nosotros estamos perteneciendo es desenmascarar a estos hijos de putas. Ya no lo queremos, ya está bueno, no queremos ni uno, ni los rojos, ni los azules, ni el que venga. Nosotros queremos levantarnos como ciudadanos ejemplares, ciudadanos honestos, ciudadanos con leyes, ciudadanos que se respeten en lo que se debe hacer para crear la nueva sociedad que todo el venezolano quiere.
Bueno, sí.